It's week 10, and it's once more under the breach, right? For some of us, I mean, mostly me, the last couple of weeks have been painful, quite frankly. Um, I really had a strong shot at winning both of my matchups. Week 8 came down to basically one play against Brian. Jameer Gibbs got loose for like a 27-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter. That killed me. Um, this last week against Matt, um, I just so happened to play the highest scoring quarterback game this year. And of course, it was CJ Stroud. I mean, why wouldn't it be CJ Stroud who puts up the highest scoring quarterback game of the year? And that's not even to say that I didn't have luck on my side either. I had a couple big blow up players, but come on, it's ridiculous. The rookie for the Texans has the highest scoring week for quarterbacks all season. Make it make sense, asshole. So, what do you do when your fantasy back is against the wall? Well, I took a discount on a trade. I sent away Puka Nakua, man myth legend, to Cody. It stung a little bit, but I had to try and shake things up, right? I hope it works out for Cody. I honestly do. I really like Puka. Puka's my guy. Um, so I'm banking on David Montgomery getting back healthy coming out of the bye this week. Um, again, that Jameer Gibbs big game that he had probably kind of shits on that trade a little bit. It might take a little bit of the shine off of my David Montgomery acquisition, but desperation's basically sinking in at this point, right? So what am I going to do? I got to make a shot. So here we go. Which, of course, leads us to another buy-mageddon. It's a big week for buys. We've got four teams, and they're all rife with rostered players. Eagles, Chiefs, Rams, Dolphins, all some very highly prized position players. Um, yeah, it's rough, and of course it hits my squad like a motherfucker because this is the week I play Ryan, and I basically need to win out to have any sort of shot at the playoffs, right? So yeah, optimal timing on that front. Excellent. It is what it is. I'll be okay. I am gonna do my best. Sure, I'm a little bit down. I'm a little bit of a glum Gus right now, but you know what? I think I deserve to be. I'm a back to back champ and the second highest scoring team in the league. And what do I get to show for it? I get to make more videos. So it's fine. It's fine. I will do it with something of a smile. Something that hopefully doesn't come to a surprise to anyone watching this. We had a couple of side missions pass us by since we last spoke. Week 8 was the little squeaker, and that one, of course, went to the team with the lowest points scored in a win. And Matt squeaked out that win over Coral with 207 points. I think Coral had 202. It was like a 5 or 6 point win for Matt. So kudos to you. He became our first multi mission winner of the year, and he did it in back to back fashion. So good on you, Mr. Goat. Week 9, we had the highest bench points because the wheel is an agent of chaos, and there were plenty of buys last week and injuries. And Walker set fire to the bench. He had 122.9 points sitting on his bench. And damn it if he didn't even win his matchup, too, uh, because that's just the kind of guy that he is. So, way to go, Walker. He is our eighth different winner this year. Brent and Coral are the only two sitting out in the cold without a side mission win. And maybe the Wheel of Fortune will shine on them with this week's spin. Segway. Oh my god, look at that. Oh, this is one where I have to add net turnover differential. So, obviously, you want to be on the. I mean, would it be a negative side? technically, because I guess if a defensive player picks off a ball, that's still a negative. I don't know. Anyway, if you have three interceptions this week, but then your quarterback is Kirk Cousins and he fumbles the ball twice and throws a pick, then you have zero net turnovers, right? So what we're looking for is the highest positive turnover differential. Basically, you want your defense to cause a lot of turnovers, forced fumbles, picks, fumble recoveries, and you want your offense to not do that. So that's what that's what the game is this week. You're banking on your defense to get ish done. Awesome, awesome. I hate when I have to explain these. You know, it really makes me feel like I'm really trying to massage the old brain matter, and that's not a good spot for me to be in. Bye, wheel. Bye. All right. So here's where I view the league right now. Okay, obviously, looking at the standings here, it's starting to look a little bit bleak, right? The playoffs are shaping up. However, we do have 6 more weeks in the regular season, and we're only a 10-man league right now. So truly, nobody is quite dead and gone yet. And why do I feel that way? We'll take a look at the big four right now. All right. So we've got four teams, top four, two with 7 wins, two with 6 wins. Take a closer look. All right. Let's just take a look at the points for. All right. And now, points for, admittedly, not the be all end all, but in the big four, we have the fifth highest scoring team in the league and the seventh highest scoring team in the league, representing the top four teams. That's a bit of a red flag, isn't it? Um, Big runner up is on a 5 game win streak, and he's only made 8 moves. Now, once upon a time, I did try and gin up a correlation between moves and wins or points. Uh, the math just didn't quite work out right. Right. So this is kind of a stretch on my part, but given the state of just the NFL in general and the amount of injuries and just poor performance across the board, do we really think it's tenable to be a playoff team on a 5 game win streak and only make 8 moves the entire season? It's just not realistic, right? That screams red flag to me. That can't be sustainable over the course of a whole season with that few moves. That, I mean, again, just one man's opinion. That's how I view things looking at it. Of course, I could be proven wrong, but it feels very volatile to have so few points scored for these two guys, right? And also so few moves made for a couple of these guys. So, to me, that screams shaky foundation. As my hands are doing a shaky thing. Shaky foundation. Things can change there. So, let's peel back that stinky onion a little bit more and let's take a closer look at those top four teams. Let's start with number one. I regret to say that it is Ryan's team. Um, at first blush, maybe it's not amazeballs, but we've got Christian McCaffrey, who I think is the number 2 overall player in fantasy. Maybe number 3. I think he's number 3 overall player in fantasy. Um, we do have Justin Jefferson waiting in the wings. He'll probably be back next week. Obviously, that'll help. He's got a couple wide receivers that are in the top 20, top 15, Mike Evans and Jacoby Myers, which again, just a testament to how gross the position has been that Jacoby Myers is inside the top 10 or the top 20 and hasn't even hit 100 points on the year. Come on, man. Mark Andrews, who doesn't love a good tight end, but credit to him. He's number 2 overall. But outside of that, there's not a lot to be excited about. I don't see a lot of really solid depth. Um, Kyron Williams could come back, for that playoff stretch run in a few weeks. So maybe that's something you're holding out hope for. Uh, but looking at this, a lot of low numbers, not a lot of guys that are putting up solid, consistent performances. I guess some of these guys might be coming back from injury, so maybe I'm being a little bit too ahead of myself without digging deeper. But yeah, the top, it feels top heavy. How about that? With McCaffrey, Justin Jefferson, Mark Andrews, and not a lot of backbone, especially when we look at like IDP and depth on the bench. So there's that. Let's take a look at the big runner up squad here. We're streaming quarterback, right? Trevor Lawrence and Sam Howell. So not thrilled with that. Uh, Running back, big time underperformance, right? Austin Eckler, he's on a inconsistent squad. Saquon Barkley is on an absolutely garbage team. Their numbers kind of bear that out. Both have dealt with injuries, so we got to factor that in a little bit. But questionable at the running back spot. Wide receivers really let him down to the point where like Dalton Kincaid might be his best receiver at the moment. Um, these guys struggling with quarterback play, obviously. Down here, Cooper Cup has been disappointing, to say the least. Devonta Smith, inconsistent. He's had a couple big splash games. He's had a couple really big misses. So we'll have to see how things look coming out of the bye. Maybe the Eagles get that straightened out. Right now, clearly A.J. Brown is the focus there. And yeah, on the bench, again, not a lot to get excited about. I guess you got George Kittle. He's, again, not going to anchor your team or anything like that. So I don't know. Just looking at the numbers, even on defense, just a couple of guys that you go, well, that's good. Like Max Crosby. Well, that's good. Jordan Brooks. Yeah, okay, cool. Um, Outside of that, yeah, it just feels, dare I say, a little bit fraudulent. Of course, that'll bite me in the ass, and big runner up will beat me in a couple weeks whenever we play next. So there's that. Let's take a look at the Kitties. Coral, again, streaming quarterback, but that works out because take a closer look. We've got 7 different guys that are in the top 5 at their positions. That's huge. And even beyond that, we've got depth on the bench. I mean, it might not be super exciting, right? Christian Watson really hasn't shown a damn thing this year, but he's a guy that we know can blow up at any minute. Justin Fields has been really inconsistent, but when he's healthy, he's going to have games where he runs for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns or whatever, right? So there's potential. And you can have the potential when you've got number 1, number 2, number 3, number 2, you know, number 8. You've got Tyreek Hill, number 1. It's just, yeah, it's really working out well for the guy. What else can you say, right? So the Kitties certainly are not what the big runner-up squad is. So how about the number 4 team? Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Number 1 QB. That's really big. That's giving him a solid 23-point average points every week. And when you've got that big of a jump on the other guys, you don't really necessarily have to have top 5 at every position. But you know what? He still has that. He's got number 3 tight end. He's got a top 5 D lineman, 2 top 5 D linemen, a top safety. Um, Things are working out for him. And on the bench, more depth. We've got Jamar Chase. Yeah, he might be banged up right now, but he's going to get healthy down the stretch. And Joe Burrow is healthy right now. So things are looking up for the Bungles. Uh, JSN has started to really catch fire the last couple of weeks. So, he's got the luxury of some skilled players that are just hanging out. He doesn't even have to play them right now. Um, yeah. So another guy where I look at the overall roster construction and I go, you know what? It might have a couple lumps, but overall, things are looking pretty good. What's this all mean, though? All right, I guess I can't say that I have any great actionable advice here, um, other than we've reached a point that waiver wires are frankly pretty bleak. If we go out and take a look at the waivers, you can see for yourselves. Um, it's certainly not what we were seeing week, 1, 2, and 3, where we had top ranked players sitting out there. We've reached the point where, D tackles, a lot of D tackles, and then we start to get into injured guys. So, yeah, we've kind of squeezed the life out of what's available for skill position players. So, you got to make trades. You got to shake it up, right? Uh, I think it's safe to say that you can't stand on your laurels at this point, especially if you're outside of the top 5 or 6. Um, Make a trade offer to Cody. The odds are he's going to drunkenly click accept. Um, I'm mostly kidding, right? I've actually tried to make multiple trades with Cody, and he's shut me down on more than one occasion. So that's another thing. I think we overvalue our own players a lot of the time. There are online trade calculators if you're curious and you want to play around with a little bit. Hell, you can go to the Reddit fantasy football subreddit. They have daily advice threads there, and some basement dwelling psychopathic murderer will tell you whether or not you're bordering on rational thought with your potential trade. So maybe try that. Um, yeah, the point is, if you want to make a run at the playoffs, it's not out of the question, right? A couple of those teams are a little bit sketchy, and a couple of moves could put you in a position to compete. So think about it, do it. And if you maybe think that you're taking a discount on a guy, sometimes that's what you got to do to kind of balance the scales a little bit, right? So I would advise you take a look at it, think about it. But right now, that's all I got. So until next time, happy hunting and happy fantasy to us all. Okay.